To understand the economics of modern political power, we first have to look at Ujjain. By 2028, the city will host the Singhast Kumbh, an event expected to draw up to 2 crore people every single day. This massive influx of religious tourism is triggering an aggressive local economic boom. To prepare for this volume, the state government is executing a 20,000 crore rupee infrastructure plan. If we track the geographic data from recent property registries, a highly concentrated pattern emerges. This satellite map tracks recent land acquisitions in Ujjain. Each rapid-fire dot represents one of 1,137 individual plots purchased in a tight window. When aggregated, these scattered locations form a massive consolidated portfolio, 168 acres of prime real estate, acquired for 45 crore rupees. This entire portfolio is controlled by a single network, the extended family and associated companies of Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Mohan Yadav. The bulk of these acquisitions occurred in the immediate window surrounding his elevation to the state's highest office. This concentrated pattern of acquisition, occurring just as the city's infrastructure plan was finalized, invites a closer look at the relationship between state planning and private ownership. In financial markets, a CEO using unannounced internal info to buy stock is committing criminal insider trading. Now look right. We map this exact architecture onto local governance. The executive becomes the chief minister, and the unannounced merger becomes an unannounced highway routing. In this ecosystem, the ultimate market catalyst is the Ujjain Master Plan 2035. This is the bureaucratic framework that decides which cheap agricultural farmland gets legally rezoned into commercial and residential territory. The moment a government pen signs off on that land use change, the valuation of that specific soil multiplies 5 to 10 times overnight. A standard developer operates on risk. They have to guess where those zones will fall and hope they buy the right plots. But the officials actually writing the policy face zero uncertainty. Acquiring strategic acreage immediately prior to public master plan disclosures operates on the exact same mechanics as executing trades before an earnings call. The only difference is the asset class. To prove this mechanical link, we have to filter the data. We are going to isolate the total 168 acres down to a highly specific subset of 111 acres. This chart visualizes the chronology of those 111 acres. The x-axis spans from 2020 through to the present day. The top section tracks official state announcements, while the bottom section tracks the Yadav family acquisitions. Watch the top axis. These nodes represent the exact dates the state government officially disclosed new infrastructure projects, specifically the critical junction connecting the Ujjain-Badnagar and Ujjain-Indore highways. Now watch the bottom axis. These clusters are the registry dates when the Yadav family finalized their purchases. Notice how every single cluster of private acquisition lands immediately to the left of the vertical dashed lines marking public disclosure. The geographic data confirms these specific plots were not scattered randomly. They sat directly in the path of the newly proposed government roads. And the chronology confirms that the family secured the deeds while the precise routing of those highways was still classified internal state data. The moment a highway junction is publicly confirmed by the state, the commercial utility of the adjacent land is locked in, triggering an immediate and guaranteed economic windfall. The alignment of these government road projects with private registry dates creates a pattern that suggests the use of non-public policy information. With the timeline established, the registry data also reveals how the execution was structured. The operation functions as a coordinated corporate conglomerate organized around a specific division of labor. We can map this corporate structure starting from the top. At the center hub is the chief minister, holding ultimate public authority over policy decisions and the master plan. From that central authority, we trace a direct operational link to the first field commander, the chief minister's cousin, Govind Yadav, surrounded by a network of private LLCs and shell companies. Govind's role in the division of labor is front-end aggregation. He locates cheap agricultural land and secures the deeds, and negotiates joint ventures with external commercial builders. The financial mechanics of these joint ventures are highly asymmetrical. Take the deal struck with Shanti Mahalik Builders in Indore as the prime example. Under this contract, the external builder puts up all the capital. They cover the materials, the labor, and assume 100% of the actual construction risk. In exchange for simply providing the strategically zoned land, the Yadav network retains between 60 and 68% of the fully developed commercial property, without risking a single rupee of construction capital. This closed-loop structure acts as a financial shield. It legally launders the initial advantage of political master planning into legitimate, zero-risk real estate equity. The final stage of the pipeline requires retail execution, introducing the second field commander in the network, Nilesh Yadav. Nilesh is tasked with developing consumer-facing housing brands like Shri Samwarya Dham and driving them through the state's regulatory approval process. The speed of this execution is striking. The network managed to register 4 separate, fully approved housing schemes with the regulatory body RERA within a highly compressed 13-month window. Compare this smooth regulatory glide path against the broader economic reality in Ujjain. Recently, the government introduced a massive land pooling scheme to build a temporary megacity for the Kumbh. The sheer scale of this state intervention created acute market volatility. Local farmers, terrified of losing their generational holdings to confusing valuations and shifting ownership rules, launched massive protests. While the local agricultural base panicked over the uncertainty, the data shows the Yadav network had already secured strategic parcels precisely within these proposed development zones. Government-induced policy volatility acts as a structural economic moat. It punishes unconnected citizens with paralyzing uncertainty, while simultaneously insulating politically positioned entities across any possible outcome. The alliance between builders, bureaucrats, and politicians is deeply embedded in Indian governance, but the mechanics of that alliance have optimized over time. The historical baseline for this kind of real estate operation is the 2010 Adarsh Housing Society scandal in Maharashtra. In that case, a chief minister manipulated floor space index regulations to artificially inflate the size of a building, specifically to secure flats for his own relatives. The consequence in 2010 was immediate. Intense institutional scrutiny and media pressure directly forced the chief minister out of office. Fast forward to the current reality in Ujjain. Despite a mathematically verifiable 168-acre data trail mapping directly onto state infrastructure plans, yet institutional accountability is entirely absent in this new reality. The political rent-seeking model has been perfected. The messy external middlemen have been eliminated, and the entire operation, from policy drafting to land aggregation to retail sales, is now entirely internalized within a single, highly efficient family unit. Modern institutional corruption increasingly functions through systemic, legally sanctioned advantages. The modern mechanism is a systemic, legally cloaked conflict of interest, where the very architects of public master plans act simultaneously to feed private corporate entities they control. Without rigorous intervention on the courts or independent oversight agencies, these practices bypass scrutiny and become a normalized, accepted feature of standard governance. Neutralizing this level of sophisticated information arbitrage relies entirely on forensic data mapping. It requires deep investigative journalism to pull registry documents and timeline data to make the invisible infrastructure of power visible. When asymmetric access to state planning operates without consequence, the public master plan simply becomes a blueprint for private extraction.